Good morning. Are we live? Oh, we are? Okay. And there's room here if somebody feels crowded, so welcome. Yeah, as per the note, and everyone's getting my note, right? Because I've got to make new lists. So quadriceps, fronts of thighs, and hams, they work synergistically, so they cooperate together, and of course, they're a big part of the mobility. But they also really affect your hips and your knee joints. So, and hopefully part of this class will address knee health because it's all connected. So your quadriceps, there are 4 of them in the front, and they attach with tendons. So when there's muscle soreness or a problem, it could be a tendon, an issue of tendons, and you have your health professionals you go to. Anybody has a foam roller? These things are amazing for, loosening tight hamstrings or quadriceps. Now, of course, inactivity and too much activity, it's finding the balance between both of those things. Too much sitting. Now, I just want to point out that your quadriceps, 4 of them, they fan out, and it's called like a 4-headed muscle, but they fan out and they attach to your tibia. So the tibia is one of 2 bones in the lower leg. You got your tibia and your fibula. And you can think of it as your shin bone, basically. That's what your tibia is, your shin bone. So if that gets tight, it could be an issue of the knee, but we're gonna work through a lot of these things today, gently and stretching and strengthening. And then the hamstrings. So these puppies, they can get really tight from too much activity. They can get really tight from sitting on your assets for too long, and they attach to your ischial tuberosities. Now, many of you are going to know this because by the time I'm finished with you, you're all going to understand your anatomy, right? So your ischial tuberosities, these are the sits bones you sit on. If your hamstrings are tight, they're pulling your ischial tuberosities down, and they're flattening the curve in your back, and then you wonder why, oh my God, I just got up, my back hurts, and it's not good in the long run. So stretching out your hamstrings makes sitting up straight easier and standing taller. Now, I just want you to get up for a moment before we come right back down again. And I just want you to, and I don't want you to overstretch. There's nothing to prove. I just want you to check in, because we're going to check in later with our hamstrings. Basically, obviously, if you can bend over, and depending on how much you can touch your toes or flatten your hands, and it's not about any of that, I just want you to notice what shape your hamstrings are in right now, and then about halfway through the class, we'll check in again with them and see if we've lengthened them a bit, because it only takes a few weeks, but I also feel one yoga class can make a difference when we practice mindfully, carefully, and just, do what I tell you. Okay, so inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Now, make sure your thighs are engaged here, okay? So thighs are engaged. Remember, we're synergistic. So bend, and then you don't need to bend your knees. If you bend your knees, you don't get the stretch in your hamstrings. Just check in right now. Let your heads hang and just check in. You're going to feel your hamstrings firing, but just have a feel for how far you can go right now. Relax your neck. Last week we dealt with our necks and our shoulders. Okay, and then let's come down onto all 4s. Let's get started. So just kind of note how far you got. All right, how did you do, tech guy? Anywhere near your toes? Okay. All right, so we're going to begin with cat-cow because it's still one of the great warm-ups for your spine, and your spine is absolutely key to the entire picture. So on an exhale, round your spine, drop your tail, pull your bellies in and tuck your chin. And then inhale, curl your toes under. Let's begin with the tailbone, lifting it, hollow out your lower back, Draw your heart center forward to lengthen and open up the front of the chest, and then let your head gently roll up. Eyes can be up towards third eye. Exhale, flatten the tops of your feet, round your spine into cat. And inhale, curl your toes under, begin with your tailbone. Hollow out the lower back. You can relax your belly, but draw your heart center forward as you lift your head. And exhale. Pull your bellies in, drop your head, bring your chin towards your chest. And inhale, hollow out your lower back. Draw your heart centers forward. And last time, flatten the tops of your feet. Remember, pressing your fingers into the mat takes some of the pressure off your wrists. But you can also come up onto your knuckles if this is bothering your wrists. And inhaling, curl your toes under. Lengthening the spine. In cow. Feel your core engaging and come back to neutral. Take your knees wide apart, big toes touch. Slowly take your hips back down towards your heels into a modified child's pose. Of course, if your knees can't handle this much of a bend, you're coming into puppy pose where your hips are directly above your knees. And if you need to, you create a pillow with your forearms to rest your forehead on. Calcium, magnesium, and potassium are three minerals that if you experience a lot of cramping, there's no guarantee, but these things do help with cramping in the hamstrings, the calves, the feet, etc. And just breathe into your side and back ribs. Make your exhalations long, full, and deep. Of course, nicer than a foam roller is getting a massage. This can definitely help. Okay, so come on up, back onto all fours. We're going to practice bird dog. So this does some strengthening and lengthening of the muscles that we're focusing on today, the hamstrings and the quads. So with your hands underneath your shoulders, or if need be, come on up onto your knuckles if your wrists are experiencing any kind of discomfort. Extend your right leg straight out behind you. Now remember, please reach through the crown of your head and then lift the opposite left arm. And breathe here. Reaching and stretching, reaching through the crown of your head. Eyes can either be open or closed. A little more work when your eyes are closed to balance, but if you are looking down at your mat, keep your gaze just in front of the hand that's on the floor. Neck long. One more breath in, stretching, reaching. Exhale, release. Inhale, stretching on the other side. Try to be aware of what your shoulders are doing, not letting the arm that's supporting you have the shoulder up around your ear. Draw it back. Be sure to breathe. And releasing. One more time on the other side, reaching and stretching. So we can see the hip gets involved here because the hamstrings help to extend the hip, whereas the quadriceps help to flex the hip joint. Having said that, and release. The opposite is true for the knee. Extend the other arm. So the quadriceps will extend the knee and the hamstrings will bend the knee. And it doesn't matter if you don't remember any of this. The amazing thing is that our bodies know what to do. We learn to walk at a very young age, and we want to keep all of the working, moving parts as healthy for as long as possible. As I said in my note, lifespan is one thing, health span is what the goal, I believe, should be. And releasing. And let's take one more child's pose or puppy pose, whichever your choice is. Now, if you didn't have a big breakfast and you feel like taking the full-on balasana, keep your knees together. Release your belly onto your thighs, or you can spread your knees wide apart. And here's where you may want to make a pillow with your forearms, or perhaps you can bring your forehead down to the floor. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. Yoga should not be a form of torture. I feel it needs to be and should be a form of therapy. And inhale, come on up and come on over onto your backs. So strengthening the quadriceps and the glutes and the hamstrings is the goal of the next exercise. So we do bridge frequently. And I'd like you to have a block. Can you bring your ankles so they're directly, as much as possible, underneath your knees? Basically, if you walk your feet back towards your arms at your side and your fingertips, lift your heart centers up, tuck them under. With the block, it just helps you engage your thighs a little bit more. Now, most of us are probably going to use the block at the medium, what I would call height, and you're squeezing it between your knees. And your arms are on the floor with your palms facing down, fingertips almost touching your heels. Again, anatomically, some of us have longer arms, some of us have shorter arms. Be sure your shoulder blades are tucked under your heart, just lifting up. And then please tuck your chin towards the notch in your neck. Palms are facing down. Push the small of your back into the mat, and then peel your spine off the mat, lifting up. Engage your glutes, don't let them just hang out. So we can feel, probably really notice now, your quads activated, your hams are engaged, your hips are activated and engaged, knees comfortably bent. And of course, there are far more benefits to bridge pose than just what we're focusing on today. And exhale, slowly lower down, remove the block, and bring your knees towards your chest. And do a little rocking from side to side. And again, now if you hang on to your ankles, you'll be able to perhaps lower your feet, bringing them a little bit closer. your heels to your fingertips. Maybe they're touching now. Once again, you can put the block in between your legs. It may fall off for the next exercise. Don't worry about it. Palms are facing down. Tuck your shoulder blades under. Tilt your chin towards the notch in your neck. Press the small of your back into the floor. Peel your spine off the mat. Holding in bridge, Setu Bandhasana. Again, engage your glutes. So we're just going to do a little test here now and see which hip, which thigh may be stronger or weaker than the other. So lift your right leg up and just notice your left thigh. As I said, if your block falls out, don't worry. Just notice, right leg straight, notice the left hip, bring that right foot back down. Let's lift the left leg up. And you may be equal on both sides. And down, and releasing. Remove the block. And draw your knees into your chest. Maybe make small circles. And let's just do this one more time without the block. Arms beside the body, palms facing down, chin towards the notch in your neck. Press the small of your back into the floor. Peel your spine off the floor. So it might be easier now because we're not trying to hold on to the block. Lift that right leg up. Check in with your left hip. And bring that foot down. And other leg up. So maybe you feel even or balanced. Just notice. There's no right or wrong here. We just want to know where our bodies are at. And bring that foot down. And come on all the way down. Once again, draw the knees into the chest. A little bit of rocking from side to side. To get a belt, which I forgot to get. Anybody else forget to get a belt while I'm up and at 'em? Yeah? Okay. Little sign. Oh, a lot of you. Okay, well, who else? Oh boy. Okay, kids, hang on. We have to read the sign. Who else said they needed one? You're pointing at who? Oh, you've got, oh, sorry, I didn't know what you pointed. Okay, all right, so let's get our belts. Now, some of you actually may not need a belt. Tech guy got a belt? Oh, good. Okay, so hamstring stretch. As I said, some of you may need it, some of you may not. You can check it out. You're going to place, starting on the right leg, you're placing the belt over the ball of your foot, and you're holding on to the belt with both hands. And then, if it's comfortable, you're extending the left leg down in front, and how about flexing both feet? And then, of course, you're pulling the leg towards you. Now, if you bend the other leg, it might feel a little more comfortable. And as I said, if some of you want to reach up towards your ankle without the strap, or if you don't have a strap, and breathe into your hamstring. Always good not to hold your breath. And bend a leg and let's change. So once again, if you're using the strap, a scarf, or a belt, I'm sure back in the day there were none of these props, they just figured it out. So you're placing the strap on the ball of your foot, not the arch. And you're holding the strap with both hands. Your opposite leg can either be bent or stretch out in front. Both feet are flexed. And of course, you might do a little pulling towards your head, but not if your hamstrings are super tight. Just breathe into them. Like a stringed instrument, we don't tighten the strings too much. Guitars, violins, pianos, the strings break. So you're just doing this pulling to, 80%, 85%. And everybody gets exactly what they need as long as you're feeling something, but not too much. Breathe into your hamstrings. Make sure you're exhaling. Exhalation lets go of tension, tightness, and stress in the body. We're much better at taking in than letting go. And bend the leg. Just notice how your hamstrings relax when you bend. And let's do it one more time on both sides, starting with the side you started on. And here's a chance to notice, are your right hamstrings looser or tighter than your left? So just check in, noticing. Using a strap, of course, lets your shoulders stay nice and relaxed on the floor. So taking it to the point that you feel you're stretching without stressing your hamstrings. Pointing the foot of the straight leg keeps your thighs engaged. Breathe. Now just bend that knee, keeping hold of it, whether it's a strap or your hands, whatever you're using. So relax your hamstrings for a moment and then straighten once again. So you're lengthening, you're reaching up through the ball of your foot. And that will do. Bend the leg, remove the strap, and then let's try last time on the other side, maybe your left leg. And again, you can either bend or straighten your right leg, the leg that you're not working with. But do flex the foot. Make sure your strap is over the ball of your foot, not your arch. And again, you may be even on both sides. Breathe in and breathe out. And bend the knee while holding on. And then one more time, straighten that left leg. Breathe. Keep the length in your neck by tilting your chin towards the notch in your throat. Check in with your shoulders, that they're not hunching up around your ears. And that will do. You can place your strap off to the side, bring your knees into your chest, and do a little rocking or circles. And then roll over onto either side. Doesn't matter, I'm going to roll over onto my left side so I'm facing you. And we're going to come in. You're going to take your top leg up and pull it towards you. So try to stay on your side. Try to keep that bottom leg straight. Now here, if you're not able to reach up too high and you wish to use your strap, reaching lower. Place that hand in front of your hip, that you're not rolling over onto your side, and lift that leg up by itself. No hands. Strengthening the tendons that insert into the hip, stretching the inner groin, thigh muscles. And lengthen as you lower. How about both legs? Big fun. Top leg as high as possible. Lift your top leg, bring together, apart, together, apart, together, apart, and come on down. So I bet you felt that in your quads. And roll over. Other side. Okay, so make sure you're on your side. You're holding your head in your hand like a sleeping goddess or god. In this case, sleeping Vishnu. Top leg comes up. Now I'm a little bit impeded because of the mic on my hip. Whoa. So reaching up with your hand. And try to reach between the ankle and the knee. So reaching up as high as you can. Exhale, lower down. Bring the hand in front for balance. Make sure you're on your side. Top leg comes up by itself. If anything, roll forward, not backward. Okay, so this time you're doing it without your hands. That hand is holding in front for balance. They're falling like flies. And slowly lower down. And then both legs coming up. Top leg. Together, apart, together, apart, and all the way down. Okay, roll over onto your bellies. Bring your forehead onto your mats. Bring your arms down beside your body with your palms facing up. We're going into locust pose, Salabhasana. Reach your fingertips down towards your feet. Palms are facing up, forehead is on the mat. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. Engage your glutes, your butt muscles. On an inhale, lift your head, arms, legs, keeping your shoulders back, your shoulder blades drawing together. This is strengthening all the muscles in the back. Of course, we're focusing on our hamstrings. Last week, as I said, we were talking about necks and shoulders. So of course, you're engaging these as well. There are so many benefits to each yoga posture, AKA asana. One more breath in. Exhale and lower down. Bring your right cheek onto the mat. Big toes touch. Heels splay out and shoulders melt. Bring your head back to the center. Arms are still beside your body with your palms facing up. Engage your glutes, press your hips and pelvis into the floor, reach your fingers down towards your feet, and roll the invisible alley with your nose to lengthen your neck. On an inhale, head, shoulders, chest, arms and legs coming up. One more breath in, lifting, exhale, place your left cheek on the mat, let your shoulders melt, big toes touch, and heels splay out. Head comes back to the center. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up, and come into a seated position. It's not sunny out anymore, tech guy. Can we have these things open just so we can look out the window, please? Now, if you want to place something under your behind for our forward stretching, I have new meditation cushions over there. Some of them still have plastic on it. You can rip it off quickly. Or, so these are them. Pull your flesh out from underneath your sits bones. Thank you. We need all the light we can get. It gets dark early now. You have to come in when the street lights go on. Okay, flex your feet. Thank you. And let's bring the left foot. That'd be great. Thanks. So bring your left foot. We don't need lights. Please don't. Not that light. No lights. Sorry, no lights. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Okay, so I'm doing the mirror image, the left foot, and if you experience knee pain, this is where you can use a cushion or something to support. There's all kinds of, the props are coming. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, Janu Shirshasana, you want your torso to track over that straight leg. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Now exhale. Don't worry about how far over you go. It's not about that. But reach and lengthen. The idea here is not to collapse and fold. and unfold. So you're bringing your heel, and please, if you're, as I said, because I have injured, I don't know if I've injured everything by now, but I've injured a few things, a few body parts. So, use something to support your knee if you feel you need it. Flex the foot of the straight leg, lift up in your sternum, inhale, sweep the arms up. Make sure your torso is going over the straight leg, lift up out of your waist, exhale, reach and stretch. Lengthening, and then as I said, we can use our straps over the ball of the foot. Both hands are good on your strap. 2 hands. And just know that we're all getting exactly what we need today by just taking it to the place where you're not feeling any pain, where you can breathe. Keep your neck in line with your spine. Keep your chest open. Try not to collapse in the front of the body. And walk your hands back up your leg and gently unfold your bent leg and bang out the backs of your knees. Pull the flesh out from underneath your sits bones. Flex your feet, Hashimoto. Feel your sits bones connecting. Remember, your hamstrings connect to your knee and low knee. Lift up. You might feel some firing, like burning in your thighs. That's kind of normal. Stretching them. One more. Exhale. Again, you can use your strap if need be. And you use it as leverage to pull your torso. There. Exhale. Again, use your strap, or depending on the length of your legs, compared to the length of your arms and your flexibility in the hip area, you might be able to use just your hands or use the strap. Both are good. But reach through the crown of your head. Don't let your head just hang. Reach through the crown. Feel your spine lengthening, even if it's just an idea. Everything begins with a thought. The compression on the tummy area is great for mobilizing the movement of waste, eventually evacuated from the body. And then walk your hands up your legs and come on over onto all fours. And then roll back on onto the soles of your feet. Have your knees bent. Let your head hang. Give your head a shake. Relax it. Make sure you know you're not holding your head up. It's really important to let the weight of your head, when you can, stretch out your cervical vertebra, your neck vertebra. Okay, bend your left leg, straighten your right. Place your left hand on your right instep. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up, stretching up. And exhale, forward fold. And now bend the other leg. So now your right leg is bent, your left leg is straight. Your right hand goes on the instep of the straight left leg, and you're going to sweep your left arm up. And release. And then pressing the soles of your feet into the floor, let your head hang. Slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Give your legs a shake out. Acid test. Ready? Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive. Forward. Let's see how those hamstrings are stretching now. Do you feel any release and relief from your hamstrings? Do you feel they're a little bit looser? The right answer is yes. And of course, if you need to bend your knees, and you don't need to touch your toes, you don't need to touch the floor. But if you bend your knees, your hamstrings aren't going to get the same amount of stretch. That's ideal, right? Okay, but do bend your knees now and slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Let your head be the last thing to come up. How are we doing? Everybody take a sip of water. Sun salutations, next up. And of course, within sun salutations are lots of opportunities to work our hamstrings and our quadriceps. Okay. Come on up to the fronts of your mats. Inhaling in place. Exhale. Take your feet apart, arms up, reach up, look up. Remember from last week we talked about extending the thoracic, the upper back spine? So lengthening stretches this area. And then inhale, bring your feet back together, lift up out of your waist, reach forward, swan diving. So Uttanasana, obviously a really beautiful hamstring stretch. Please let your head hang, step your left leg back, and place your hands on your right front knee. And then inhale, focus your gaze, press through that back foot. Inhale, sweep your arms up. So quads and hams are very engaged, as are your knees and your hips. And then turn your palms forward, bring them to the mat, and take the other leg back. Coming into your push-up plank position. Of course, if this is too much for your wrist, please bring your knees to the floor. Lift your feet off the floor, cross at the ankle, and you can put as much pressure as is good for you by bringing the torso forward. But if you're in your push-up plank position, please draw your bellies in so you get your core working. Pressing all 10 fingers into the mat, reaching through the crown of your head, pressing through your heels backwards. Now bring your knees to the mat, flatten the tops of your feet, slowly take your hips back towards your heels. Keep your hands where they are, lengthening your spine, relaxing your hamstrings, stretching your quads. And then leaving your hands where they are, lower your forearms and elbows if possible. Keep your torso nice and low. Come forward into this somewhat awkward but enormously beneficial chest, chin, elbows, knees, and feet down. Bum in the air. Slide everything forward. Align the edges of your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Forehead on the mat. Elbows into your side body. Press your forearms down. Tops of your feet are flat and your toes are pointing backwards. On an inhale, roll the invisible alley with your nose. And inhale, lifting up. You're not using your hands or your arms. You're using the muscles in your lower back. So I'm having a little bit of a cramp in my left calf. And now it's stopped. One more breath in, lift, exhale, lower down. Curl your toes under. Inhale, lift yourself up into downward facing dog. Walk your feet a few inches forward. Press all 10 fingers into the mat, including the heel of your hand, so you've got a cup space underneath the inner palm. And now, press your belly onto your thighs and your chest towards your knees, lengthening your spine. And now press your heels towards the floor. Your heels don't need to touch the floor. Just feel the stretch in your Achilles tendons, your calf, and your hamstrings. Relax your neck, but align your ears with your inner arms, which should all line up with your spine, so you're an inverted V. And breathe. Lift your left leg up, look at your left hand, swing that foot as far forward as you can. Other leg forward, and let your head hang. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Pull your bellies in to protect your lower back. Sweep the arms in front, reaching up, feet apart for balance. Lift up, arch back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side in prayer. Exhale to your heart center. One more round. Inhale. Exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, reach up, look up, arch back. So don't worry about arcing back so far as opening up your thoracic, your back vertebra. And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward, fold. Please let your hips hang. Step your right leg back, drop your knee to the mat, bring your hands onto your left knee. Focus your gaze for balance. Inhale, press through that back heel, sweep the arms up. Try to keep your torso straight up and down as opposed to leaning forward. Shoulders are over hips, fingers are active. Press through your back heel, stretching your quads, your hip flexors. We use our hip flexors to climb stairs, climb hills, in and out of cars. Turn your hands forward, spread your fingers apart. Come on into whatever version of push-up or plank position is preferred today. Make sure your middle finger is pointing forward, shoulders away from your ears, pull your belly buttons in, press through your heels, reach through the crown of your head, and just breathe. And then release your knees, flatten the tops of your feet, leave your hands where they are, take your hips back towards your heels. Stretching your spine, leaving your hands where they are. Release your forearms and elbows to the floor and keep your body nice and low, bum high. When you can, release your chest and chin to the floor. Excellent for spinal mobility. And I think we all know by now, the healthier our spines are, the the more mobility and youthfulness we exhibit. Slide everything up behind us. Forehead to the mat. Fingertips aligned with the tops of your shoulders, elbows into your side body, forearms pressed down towards your mat. You may wish to widen your feet and roll your baby toe in if you believe you wish to press up into the fuller expression of cobra. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. On an inhale, everybody starting with baby cobra. So you're not using your hands, you're using your core, your lower back, your middle back, keeping shoulders down. And then if you wish to press up, go for it. Keeping elbows, wrists and shoulders aligned. Shoulders down, elbows in. And a gentle curve of your neck, eyes floating up towards your third eye, Ajna chakra. One more breath in, lengthen as you lower. Bring your feet back together if you separated them, curl your toes under, press up. Walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees. Press your belly onto your thighs, your chest towards your knees. Press your sits bones towards the back of your mat to lengthen your spine, and then press your heels towards the floor. Feel the stretch in the backs of your legs, and breathe. Lift your right leg up, look at your right hand, swing that foot as far forward as possible, other leg forward, and then let your upper body hang in Uttanasana. So this is a great stretch, not just for your hamstrings, but your spine, and let the weight of your head stretch your cervical vertebra. Let your upper body just hang. Arms beside your ears, pull your bellies in and engage your thighs. Sweep the arms in front, reaching up, feet apart for balance. Look up, arc back. So the more we lengthen our thoracic spine, the less we compress the lower back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, into prayer. Give your legs a good shake out. And probably one of the best positions in yoga, but we can practice at home all day long. When we brush our teeth, you remember I told you, horseman's pose, Utkatasana. So, and the other thing I discovered too, I don't know why, but I guess I was leaning over a lower kitchen top and I thought, well, I'm just gonna park my knees into the cupboards. Because, you know, if you think, well, if I park it into that, it's beautiful for your spine. Obviously, it's working your quads, stretching the hammies. So, all right. In Utkatasana, horseman's pose, you're bending your knees, putting your weight into your heels. Your feet should be 90 degrees forward, so they're not pointed inwards or outwards, and you want to be able to see your toes in front of your knees. So you might feel a little unbalanced in terms of a little more weight in the back, but inhale, sweep the arms up. Now you can keep your arms at shoulder height, or if you wish to raise them, so if they're at shoulder height, your palms can face down. If they're up, you can face your palms in. But you want to sit back in your heels. So it's like you're going to sit in a chair. But when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm totally trained now to bend my knees. And then exhale, forward fold. Keep your knees soft. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, hands in prayer. So we do a couple more poses before we lie down. So yeah, when I'm brushing my teeth, like I've totally trained myself now. Instead of, anybody else trained yet? Because I know I say it all the time. Okay, and don't brush too hard. Like me, I love brushing my teeth. Okay, let's turn sideways on the mat. Take your legs wide apart. So wide leg forward bend, Prajurita, Padottanasana. Take your arms out to the side, reaching sideways. Turn your feet slightly out. Now you're going to want your feet to be fairly wide apart here. And then hinge halfway over, flat back. Tense your fingers on the floor, just below your face. You got a nice long spine. We're going to inhale, sweep the left arm up, reaching up and stretching up. Exhale, float it down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up and stretching up. Exhale, float it down. Let's do this once more again. Reaching the first arm up. Exhale, float it down. One more time, last time on the other side. Reach up. Keep your spine long. Feel your core engaging here. Exhale, down. And now let's lunge over to the left side. Skandasana. And bringing your hips as close to your heel as you can. Again, it doesn't matter how far you go. Back up and over to the other side. And back into the center. And one last thunderbolt, Quadriceps. This is where you may wish to either place something under your knees, double your mat over, and if you have big knee issues, this is not going to be for you. Okay? But in thunderbolt, we basically just sit back on our thighs. However, if you put a cushion of some ilk, you can still get a bit of stretch in your thighs. The other option too is to take your knees wide apart, big toes touch, and you can use your block to sit on, but just to give a final stretch to your quadriceps. So but the true Vajrasana thunderbolt pose is obviously just sitting on the backs of your heels, knees bent. Virasana hero pose is a whole other deal where you absolutely, you go back with your knees bent, but that's not something we're going to do today. Another day, maybe. Okay, that will do. Take a sip of water if you like. If you have an eye cover, please put a tissue over your eyes. Use the eye covers, they're there, lavender. And bring your body into one of the favorite poses, Shavasana, and relaxing. Please feel good about your efforts today. I was listening to Ivanka Trump, who actually is about 100 times smarter than her dad, but that's not saying much. But she's talking about balance, and I believe she has 3 children, and she also has many businesses. And she said, balance isn't always possible. What she did say was knowing what our priorities are. What is most important? Because there are days, somebody's sick, things happen, and we lose our balance. But at that point, we need to focus on what is the most important, healthiest thing, loving thing I can do in light of what life is throwing at me today. With your eyes closed, separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax your jaw, perhaps Perhaps let your lips part. Palms are facing up in the open, receiving position with arms just far enough away from your body so that you feel your shoulders letting go. Let your bodies be soft and heavy. And observe your breath. Allowing it to find the rhythm of relaxation. Observe your belly rising and falling. Inhaling the life force deep into your lungs. Exhaling, releasing carbon dioxide and other wastes. Long, full, deep inhaling and deep exhaling. Inhaling very, very deep and let it all go. Rolling over onto your side, using your bottom arm as a pillow just for a moment, bending your legs. Life whispers. Listen closely. Life whispers. Listen closely. Use your top arm to press yourself back up into a seated position. And let's chant Om one time together, releasing any built up lactic acid, carbon dioxide. Chanting Om together just once. Inhale. Om. Wishing